today we are going to show you 3 solutions, and we've been looking at these solutions earlier today. They're really terrific, so you really want to take a look at these. And there's 3 companies that you're going to hear from. You're going to hear from Aspect, you're going to hear from Enghouse, and you're going to hear from Nice Systems. So what I'm going to do now is introduce your first presenter, Alex Kazuka, Product Manager for Aspect. Alex is the Product Manager for Aspect's IVR, Omni-Channel, Self-Service, and Cloud Solutions. She focuses on superior customer engagement and mobile solutions across all channels with attention to both end users and service providers. Alex?
Hi, I'm Alex Kazuka, and I'm going to walk you through some ways to bring continuity to an omni-channel customer experience. And at Aspect, one thing that we've been looking at extensively this year is the way to not just provide service on multiple channels, but the way to ensure that there's a true omni-channel customer experience with continuity across those interactions, even when the interaction is handed off to an agent, or when the customer has paused and restarted an interaction, or when they've had to change channels. For example, the agent might like to know functions or menus that were used in the IVR before the call got transferred, any business tasks that the person had previously attempted to complete on any interaction channel, maybe the last transaction that they performed when they were within a mobile application, the last time they talked to an agent and the issues that were discussed during that agent conversation, or even the most recent page of the website that the customer was on, can all be extremely illustrative in providing further context to what the customer's next interaction is likely to be, to predict that interaction, and to provide that customer with more personalized service and provide extensive continuity when an interaction is changing channels. And we found that there are a lot of continuity-related factors for detractors when you look at complaints that people have about their customer interactions. They don't like being transferred during support sessions. They don't necessarily enjoy the current experience when you switch channels, or the experience of making repeated contacts, and they definitely don't like re-explaining themselves, for example, when they've already gone through something in self-service and then they make their way to an agent. So by providing continuity within an omni-channel experience and ensuring that those customers never have to re-explain themselves, and that any transfers that they might have to do are as smooth, painless, and personalized as possible, is a great way to reduce detractors in your omni-channel experience. In the customer journey as we see it today, often it is very fragmented. Today's customers may have already traversed multiple self-service channels before they end up making it to an agent. So in your omni-channel experience, you've got the customer, maybe they're on your website, they're on your mobile app, maybe they've already been on a social network, they've already tried emailing you, or maybe they've texted, they've made some kind of interactions before they end up with that agent, who is the one who's ultimately going to have to kind of bring together everything that customer did when they traversed the channels before they reach them, to ensure that the experience that they get is a good one. And we're looking at ways to bring mobile devices in, especially when it comes to creating the omnichannel experience. So many people today, their mobile devices are just an extensive part of their lives. We found statistics from the Daily Mail that said that 81% of smartphone users have their phones switched on all the time, even when they're in bed. That they have their phone near them. 79% of people have their phone with them for all but 2 hours of their waking day. 63% have it with them all but 1 hour of their waking day, and a full quarter of people couldn't even recall a single time in the day that their phone wasn't in the same room as them at the same time. So looking at ways to bring in the mobile channels that people are using has been very important to building the omni-channel experience here at Aspect. And we're finding, too, that by 2016, that Gartner predicts at least 60% of Internet users will be opting for mobile channels for service as their very first option. And at Aspect, we're finding ways to bring proactive self-service and seamless connections to live service to drive omni-channel continuity, finding ways to tie automated and agent-assisted channels together, provide a seamless omni-channel experience, whether it's over text, voice, mobile, social, or web channels, and find ways to bring in new technologies like live chat, video chat, and file sharing that can be integrated with context when customers come in over a mobile and web channel and give that customer a richer omni-channel experience. And now I'm going to go through a couple of demos that we've built out. And the demos I'm going to go through are for financial services and retail. And in these demos, you'll see ways that service can be made seamless in an omni-channel way across self-service channels, and also in ways when a live agent is brought in to ensure that that agent has more information and can provide a richer interaction for the customer. So I'll start with the financial services demo. And this one is it's a money transfer transaction. So this customer they realized that they had a low balance on their checking account, and so they need to transfer some funds from their savings. So they're driving in their car. Their first choice in this case is going to be IVR because they'd like to do everything, through voice because they're driving. So they ask Siri to give a call to their bank. And so their bank gives them the option whether they would rather use a visual IVR since they're on mobile or whether they'd rather continue in voice response. And since they're driving, they go ahead and they stick with the strictly voice system. They give it the account number. They can then seamlessly authenticate and go ahead and give their PIN. And they get their main menu. On their main menu choice, they choose to transfer funds since they're looking to add some money to their checking account. And so they let it know that they're planning to make the transfer from their savings, and they even get the amount done. And then in the middle of the transaction's interrupted because they get a phone call that they need to take. So they realize that they need to go ahead and take that phone call, so they hang up on the bank transaction that they were working on, and they take the phone call that came in. After that phone call, maybe they're distracted by the content of the phone call, or they just want to finish their drive home, and they get home and they have not completed that interaction that they were trying to do with the bank to get that money transfer done. And now, since they're home, it's a little more comfortable since they're no longer driving, they're not as distracted. They go ahead and they access Monument Bank's mobile app. They log in, and thanks to continuity across the channels, the records indicate that they were earlier trying to transfer funds between the accounts. And so the bank is able to prompt them to go ahead and finish their first transaction that they were attempting earlier through experience continuity. And when they select yes, the function has also remembered the amount that they were looking to transfer, the nature of the transfer, and so then they're able to complete that transfer with just one click. And the transfer is successful, and the customer has seamlessly completed the interaction. Even though they ended up getting interrupted and crossed the channels, they're able to seamlessly complete what it was that they needed to complete and not have to repeat themselves at any point in the interaction. And to look at a slightly more in-depth example, I've also got an example of a retail customer experience set up for a company called Monument Outdoors, and it shows a system for being proactively notified by a company and then making your way actually in store and speaking to an agent there. I'll launch this demo. And so this customer, again, they're an existing customer of Monument Outdoors. They've already signed up, and so they're on a special retailer promo to receive updates and offers. So they get an inbound text from Monument Outdoors, and it's an exclusive invite to a fall preview sale just for customers who are signed up. And it encourages them to respond. So this customer they don't have any more questions right now. They don't need any details, so they just respond that they're in. And so the automated system is able to then proceed to the next step, which is to make arrangements to let them know what day they would like to come in. And so this customer thinks they'll probably come in, they'll come in over the weekend, so they'll come in on October 6th. So through interactive text response, this automated conversation goes ahead and sets up a quick reminder for that customer to let them know, hey, the sale that you wanted to check out, come on in tomorrow and we'll give you a coupon. And so they get their reminder, and then they proceed into the store that day, and as soon as they get to the store, they notify the system they're here. And so the system sends them a special coupon, as promised, to get a $10 discount on their purchase. And this customer, for example, hasn't really been into the store before. They've mostly done online shopping, but right now they need something for a trip. So they're looking for a sleeping bag. And so they ask, where is the sleeping bag section? Through ITR, again, this part is all still completely automated. ITR recognizes the basic question, where is the sleeping bag section, and then is able to generate what we call a disposable app that gives the customer a quick map to find exactly what it is they need. And this is what we call a disposable app. It's a mobile web application. It's designed to ensure that the customer has access to richer information so that they don't have to download anything. You don't have to worry about developing for multiple platforms or installations. Mobile web should work on just about any smartphone and can derive its context from the previous engagement. So it knows from the interactive text response conversation that our customer is looking for a sleeping bag, gives them directions to go ahead and get back into the camping section, and often offers them an option to instantly jump to receive live help. And in this case, our customer, with the map, they were able to find the sleeping bag, but they've still got questions. So it's going to go ahead and they send a message to the system and indicate that they need assistance. Can you send someone? So the system goes ahead and flags all of the floor assistants. They'll also have their smartphones on them. And one of the assistants says, yes, I can go ahead and help that customer with the sleeping bag. And if that assistant needs a map, they're also provided with a map to get there. And to provide an even richer experience, while the customer is interacting with this live agent who's just been summoned via the application, the agent is also provided with a link to related products. This will help them with cross-sells and with upsells. So for our customer who is looking at the sleeping bag, it suggests some items that are frequently bought together, whether they're sold in the store or not. So in this instance, it's suggesting an upsell on an outdoor camping pan set, and that could be either purchased within the store or could be used as an extended shelf to facilitate online purchases to augment our customers' in-store purchases. And then a few days later, the application can even follow up with a quick survey. So our customer here is receiving a quick survey on positive and negative aspects of their visit. Again, a completely automated interactive text response dialogue. So they're very excited to have gotten help without having to track down somebody in the store and that person kind of knowing what it was that they needed, and they rated their experience very well. But they did order those camping pans. And so a few days later, they're asking the system, what's the status of my order? Something that could very easily have been an inbound call to a contact center that instead here can be deflected with an interactive text response dialogue. The system finds their order, automatically sends them a link to tracking information. And maybe when they get their item, they still have questions. And the system is still able to provide them with rich content. So this customer, again, once they've gone camping with their set, maybe they again have a question about cleaning and storage, and it turns out that Monument has a pretty good database of customer post-care. Maybe they've done some content marketing, say on YouTube, and created a number of videos, and so they actually have content around this, and they're able to send it. And if our customer is confused, they can go ahead and at that point they can be transferred to a live agent who's an expert. So this customer still has questions, and this conversation could either be transferred seamlessly to a live agent who could continue in SMS, or could be a customer could be called back. And so this customer would prefer to call. They request a phone call, and they're told we'll be placing a call to you within the next 8 minutes. So they're informed of what their wait time will be to get to a live agent. And then the agent goes ahead and gives them a call, and that agent would receive the complete context of the interaction and know that it was our customer Evan who was calling because he had some questions to follow up about the camping pans that he had purchased. So that concludes my two demos, and I'd like to hand it back over to Sherry.
Thank you very much, Alex. And now we're going to go to Ami Dweck, NICE Product Manager, and Ami is responsible for several domains in the recording, connectivity, and application layer of NICE Engage platform, which includes the NICE Player archiving solutions and the integration with Skype for Business. He has over 10 years of diverse product management and software engineering experience in tech startups and global enterprises. Ami?
Thank you very much, Sherry. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, you're very clear.
Okay. So first of all, thank you very much for taking the time and attending this session. My name is Ami Dweck. I'm a product manager in the multi-channel recording line of business in NICE Systems. And today we will talk about NICE Engage platform and the advanced interaction recorder. It's a workforce optimization solutions for the Omni-Channel contact center. Let's start with some background. I think that we all understand today that consumers would like to interact with organizations in the exact same manners that they interact with their friends and family, and via various digital channels, including social media, messaging applications, email, etc. And this is only one side of the coin. The second side is that they expect to do so in a seamless manner and have a seamless experience across the different channels. So in order to strive, organizations need to be able today to differentiate themselves by providing a superior customer experience, invest in different channels, be able to provide personalized experience in real time, and have a broad availability across the different channels and around the clock. And lastly, organizations need to be able to implement an omni-channel seamless experience. So let's talk a little bit about workforce optimization solutions for the omni-channel contact center. So for one hand, today we have the different channels that the customers use in order to interact with organizations, ranging from the traditional voice, to social media, SMS, email, chat, etc. And from the other hand, we have the workforce optimization solutions that are aimed in order to optimize both the quality management experience, extract business insights from the different interactions that are being captured within the system, provide guidance in real time to our employees within the organizations. And in order to be able to do so effectively across the different channels, we need first of all to have an effective interaction capture platform that allows us to first of all capture all the different interactions that are being sent to our organizations in the different channels. Once the interactions are captured, we need to be able to use this interaction in an effective manner and extract them in a unified, simple manner and in real time to the different business applications in order to have an holistic view and be able to have a unified quality management process, to be able to run analytics across the different channels, and to have an effective compliance process across the different channels. So this allows us to do the transformation from the multi-channel contact center through the true omni-channel contact center. NICE Engage platform, the advanced interaction recorder, are the solution that I will demonstrate to you now, and they allow organizations to implement an effective omni-channel strategy. So without further ado, I will go to the demos. So we will start with the first demo, in which I will play the role of an agent in the complaint desk. The story here is that our customer, Mickey, is calling to the complaint desk after he tried to contact our organization several times in the past weeks. And the reason for that is that he was overcharged for a ticket that he purchased not that long ago. So first of all, when Mickey is calling to the complaint desk, I'm picking up the call. I'm getting Mickey's information about the incident. And when I check the CRM, I see nothing suspicious. Everything looks fine, and I don't see anything mentioned about special discount or an issue with the rate. So then I log in to the NICE Engage search application, and I get the main search screen in which I have the Google-like search bar that allows me actually to run search on every searchable information within the system. This includes any interaction that was captured, metadata about of the interactions that were captured, It includes the details of the agent and every business data that we have captured and added to the system. So in this case, I'm start typing Mickey's account number. And as you can see on the left, once I start typing the information, the system auto-suggests different records that matches to the expression I just typed. So this can be different account numbers that matches the expression I just typed, different phone numbers, emails that contains these expressions, etc. In this case, I will pick Mickey's account number, and what I will see here is the main search screen that shows me that in the past week, Mickey contacted with us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, twice via phone, one time via chat, sent us an email, and he also filled a feedback form. I can drill down and, for example, read Mickey's email, but actually, I'm more interested about the last phone call that he had, because according to Mickey, he was promised that he will get reimbursed in this phone call. So I can play this interaction.
Hello, this is Morris Simmons speaking.
And in case I have analytics in my environment, I can also open the call transcription and see what has been discussed in this interaction. In addition to that, I have the ability to share the interaction with my colleagues, managers, etc. And I can send this conversation to evaluation in order to have an effective quality management process. So this sums up the first demo. Let's go to the second demo, in which I will play the role of a compliance officer, runs an investigation based on an information that he got that within one of the product lines that are sold, some agents are not adhering to the processes in the organization. So what I would do, I would start again typing the name of the product that I'm looking for, and all the different interactions that are related to the Flying More product line in this case are being revealed here. So as you can see here again, we have different interactions that were captured. Some of them are voice, chat, email, etc. I can see the distributions of these interactions across the past week. And I have the ability to run some advanced activities on top of them. So, for example, in this case, I would like to tag some of the applications. I can export them. But the first thing that actually I would like to do is to make sure that these interactions will not be deleted by the menu management process, and I would like to make sure that the retention of these interactions will be set to 12 months. I can select which type of the interactions will be retained. I can also explain what is the reason for doing so. Once I approve the operation, and the operation is being completed in the record, I get an indication that this was done successfully. So this was the demo. Let's just have a quick recap of what we just discussed today. So Nice Engage platform and the Advanced Interaction Recorder is a workforce optimization solution that allows organizations to implement a true omni-channel experience by applying unified quality management, analytics, and compliance processes across the different channels, and by that, implementing an effective strategy that will allow them to transform to the omni-channel. Okay, this was it, Sharon.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Very nice. And now we are going to go to Kai Kaufman, Senior Director for Technology Strategy at Enghouse Interactive. And Kai has 25 years experience in software technologies, 15 of those in the contact center space, focused on enterprise products. As head of technology, he's responsible for understanding industry trends and bringing relevant product solutions to market. Kai?
Thank you very much, Sherry. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank everybody for taking the time to sit in and listen to our stories. So today I'm going to talk to you about Omni-Channel, but it's going to be within the context of customer journey and what we do to enable that customer journey and and what our solutions can do for you. We'll provide a few quick insights into what some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry, and then finally we're going to show you a little bit of the technology in action to demonstrate some of the use cases and how the customer journey can actually help you out in an omni-channel environment. So first I wanted to put up a definition of omni-channel. It's not that anybody here needs an education on what omni-channel is, but I think the interesting thing about this definition that it really mentions data and context. And data and context are really the means that in an omni-channel experience, you allow your customers to transition from one channel to another and maintain what the conversation is about. But it doesn't only enable the customer experience in allowing them to move from one channel to another. That same data is also used to understand what has happened on the customer's journey. So if an agent needs to understand where this customer has been, and also what's happening in real time, and allowing that agent to tailor the customer journey. So a few quick statistics that I think underpin the need to really have an omni-channel strategy for an organization. So over half of customers are using at least one digital channel today. And of those that are using voice, you've got about a third that are adding digital channels. And there are quite a few, 14%, that are using at least 3 channels when interacting with the company for customer service. So it really does say the importance that things are transitioning. And I think earlier in the webinar we heard that people really they stick with their mobile devices and they wind up in different situations where different communication methods are going to be more applicable at one time than another. So what does this mean? So like I said, customers are going to choose the channel that works best for them at any particular moment in time. Voice is still very critical and important, so we certainly shouldn't forget about that. But when we bring in web chat or SMS or mobile applications or even self-service applications, basic payment application, an agent should be able to understand that the customer may have tried to make a payment and then unsuccessfully did so, or maybe they went onto a knowledge base and they couldn't find what they're looking for, but we want to understand which articles maybe they have looked at or FAQ on the website, what they visited, so that we can seamlessly continue that conversation. So, and with all of that, we really need to empower the agents and to understand what the whole journey is that a customer might have been on. So we don't want to start over when the agent gets on the phone. It needs to be very seamless. So on the flip side, if we think about the businesses that are offering or that have a contact center, I think it's very important to realize that on average, businesses use 6 channels or more to engage with their customers. So that's a lot of different ways to reach out to your customers or for them to engage you. But there's some things to consider in an omni-channel world, right? In certain cases, you might be able to empower your agents to leverage all 6 channels to interact on all 6 channels or more. But in certain cases, it may be that there are certain requirements in your industry that might prohibit agents or require certain training and skill sets to be able to handle certain channels. So one example I'll give here is in the healthcare industry, a traditional voice interaction is actually much easier and much more accessible for an agent to achieve than a digital media where there are certain documentation or legal requirements. So it's not easy, or it's not enough to have just an omni-channel where everybody does everything. You really have to also have the ability to understand how those channels might have implications. You know, on the other side of it, retail or generic customer service environments, they may actually just, you know, open up every channel for their agents so that their customers aren't limited in any way, and there isn't an additional management layer there. But the point is, whether you have to, you know, tune or align the channels with the appropriate skill sets that your agents have, or if you can give your agents access to every channel, the agents still need to understand where that customer has been on their journey. So even if an agent is only a voice agent, they still need to see that maybe there was an email sent in at one point, or maybe there was an SMS that came in about something, because it is part of the customer journey. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the features that we have that support this customer journey as it ties to the Omni-Channel. So in our agent application, we have a universal queue, and that queue is representative of every channel that customers might be coming in on. That can include, you know, calls, emails, voicemails, SMS. Just about every, you know, media type that you can think of is supported in the platform. And so what we're doing here is we're managing all the channels in a single place. And so that empowers, you know, the agent to understand what's happening, but it also empowers the business to prioritize channels higher over one over the other. You still want to treat your live interactions more importantly than maybe an email, which sits lower on the scale of priority. So this same view again needs to be tailored if you do need to restrict your agents on what they can handle in terms of media types. Then this view needs to reflect that. And you know, for those agents that are fully empowered to handle all channels, they should be able to see everything that's happening. Additionally, we do allow agents to take a look into, you know, the queue. So in a scenario where they may be expecting something to come in, they have the power to you know, drill into this universal queue and pull out interactions because they know that, you know, they're currently dealing with a particular customer issue, or it's a follow-up activity, those types of things. So in addition to the universal queue, we also have what we call our customer timeline. So this is a new feature for us. It's very much driven by an omni-channel experience and to empower the agent with information that's relevant to the current interaction that they're dealing with. So essentially what we have here, what we call a film strip view of interactions. These are historical interactions, things that have happened in the past. These are currently queued interactions, and these are also interactions that potentially are queued up for the future. So maybe there's a callback interaction that somebody needed a follow-up activity. So really, you're trying to empower the agent with everything that has happened, is happening, or might actually be about to happen. So in addition to just providing information, we're giving them the ability to act on some of these interactions. So we can take emails out of a queue. So we'll give an example of that actually in a few slides here. We can, you know, reactivate some of the old content. So if somebody says, I sent you an email about this 2 weeks ago, I should be able to pull that up as an agent and engage on that information. And then there's an additional tool, which I'll talk about in a second here, which is called Interaction Vault, which allows the agent to go from this very simple and immediate feedback that the system gives them into a more searchable environment where maybe they are looking for very specific information that we haven't presented with them in their agent environment. I think the thing that's important to note there too is that self-service interactions would wind up showing up in that customer timeline as well. So again, back to the example where there may have been a payment made. So I also want to talk a little bit about B2B customer journey, so business to business. In Omni-Channel, we tend to think a little bit about that we're dealing with one person, right? One person that might be moving from an SMS to a voice conversation. But in reality, a lot of businesses are interacting with other businesses, and there may be multiple people involved to facilitate that business relationship. So we really need to empower this customer journey to be a little bit broader in the sense that it isn't tied to a person. It may be tied to a company name. It may be tied to a service contract, an order ID, or maybe even by geography. It really depends on what the business is that you're in and how you classify your customers. So our InteractionVault tool allows us to provide a broader search based on those criteria. And it's both enabled for agents and supervisors. But we really want to, take it beyond just a point-to-point conversation, and in a business-to-business environment, we can present that information as well. So I'm going to walk through two scenarios. These are very basic use cases, but in my experience, they can actually be fairly difficult to achieve with the solutions that are out there today. So we'll walk through it. So in our first example here, this is really an example of working across channels. So we have a customer that is sending an email into a system, and as that interaction arrives, of course, we're looking up some customer data. Maybe it's by email address. Maybe there's some keyword searching that's going on in the email. Well, let's say that the customer doesn't get the response back in a timely fashion, what they consider to be a timely fashion anyway. So they go ahead and place a phone call in. Now we're looking at that same customer data, and we are essentially able to associate those two interactions, the email and the voice call. So in this case, the agent is able to say, oh, I see that you sent an email in a few minutes ago. Maybe I can answer that question for you right now. It's important to empower the agent because maybe that email was about a different subject, and so the agent can just leave that interaction alone. So let's see this in action. So this is our actual agent desktop, and so this agent is taking the phone call that they brought into the system, and you'll notice there's some customer information along the bottom, and you can see the customer timeline across the top there, and we can see that there's a email that's waiting in queue. So with the customer agreeing that, yep, it's about the same issue, the agent is able to actually reserve that interaction for the time being, but they can also go ahead and take it then. It's really, again, empowering the agent to make the decision that's appropriate for the moment. If the customer wants the email right now, then the agent can take that email and send a corresponding response to it. If the customer said, well, you can just follow up with me after we hang up the call, then the agent can do that too. So we're really empowering the agent to manage the channels separately, but at the same time, they're all part of the same customer journey. So, so that was our first demonstration, or our first use case. Again, it's very, very simple in the sense that it's an email that somebody sent in, and they followed up with a phone call because they didn't get a response quick enough. Same could be true for a voicemail that somebody might have left in an IVR or a callback interaction. And really what you're doing here is you're optimizing that customer experience, and you've actually optimized your call center as well, because that email could very well have gone to a different agent, which may have called that customer back and created a very disjointed relationship experience for that customer. So moving on to the second scenario here. So this is really the business-to-business example. So I have a contact that's reaching in, and let's say this was for a web chat. And within the same organization, we have another contact that's reaching in, maybe it's a day later, but it's about the same issue. And so we really have two interactions that are driven by two different people, but from the same organization. So in this case, maybe somebody had a vacation day, so the colleague took over and calls in and says, I know you talked to Emily. Can you let me know what you guys discussed or what any outcomes were? So we really want to empower the agent again to do the same thing. So again, showing this scenario in the actual agent application here. So what you see here is that we have the phone call that came in, but we don't have visibility into that website yet. And you can see that there's a bunch of different information that we can search on, but in this case, we're going to go ahead and just expand our context, our scope of the search, to be of the same company. Now, again, that could be ticket ID, that could be something else. In this case, we have a web chat that appeared because we broadened our search. And right from the agent interface, we're able to actually pull up that web chat transcript, and we're able to see exactly what that conversation was. Let's say, for example, that was a voice call. Maybe we could listen to the call recording, or if it's an email, we could see the transcript for the email. Now, if that wasn't enough, we can actually open up our full iVault application, which I mentioned earlier, and you can get a lot more detail along with the same information that is stored in Interaction Vault. So much more detail, much more robust search capability based on all of the data that we're attaching. And again, you can get to the same information, the same transcript that you could straight from the agent's customer timeline. So that concludes the second demo here. And really just as a set of closing comments here, we really believe that our solutions enable a customer journey with some of the features that you've seen. We certainly believe that this will create a better customer experience, better agent experience as well. We also saw that the universal queue, how it helps, how you have to consider skill sets of what channels agents might be able to use, and how that's also used in a proactive manner. And then our customer and timeline and Interaction Vault really provide that detail on what that customer journey is, and allow you to really tune, tailor the customer journey. And with that, I'll conclude my part, and I'll turn it back to you, Sherry.
Thank you very much, Kai. And now we have the Q&A portion of this webinar. And I'm going to ask all of the presenters to unmute their phone lines. We do have some questions that have come in. As a reminder, post your questions where it says Q&A. You'll see the panelists, your name, and then under that Q&A. So here is a question. Please describe what the quality assurance process looks like when you're assessing an end-to-end interaction. So they start with SMS and go to email and voice. So talk about what the quality control is. Now let's see. Ami, would you like to take that first?
Sure. So in terms of the process, I think first of all it depends obviously what kind of agent we are currently evaluating. So for example, when we are talking about dual agents that have the capability to support multiple channels, that use case that we started encountering recently. So what we do, we follow using the search application is one example, but we have other tools that allows you to do so. The entire journey in order to get an holistic view of what the customer went over during the journey, and how the agent managed this interaction in each one of the phases. And this allows us basically to have an holistic view of the entire process across the different channels.
Okay, thank you. Kai or Alex, would you like to answer this? Alex?
Sure. I would say that most companies will probably have, internal benchmarks for handling for each type of interaction, and so they can measure whether or not those are, those are being met. I've also worked some with our Zipwire software that has an algorithm for contact routing that helps to manage the number of interactions of different types that agents can handle at different times, if it's kind of a prioritization question in that respect, and sort of for a holistic, take a look at kind of how the entire interaction went, like cradle to grave. That's a great thing for, if you saw my second demo where they did a follow-up survey. Those follow-up surveys can also be administered on the channel of the customer's choice to get that kind of direct feedback from the customer about, whether or not it worked, and, go from there as to whether or not the customer truly thought it was a seamless interaction, which is, that's what you're going for.
Thank you, Alex. Kai, what sort of QA process do you have?
So I think it's a combination of tools, and it really depends on, in some cases, channel as well. But, I think it's an intersection of using survey tools to understand, did you actually achieve the goal? Using, classic quality management in terms of scorecards that are related to call recording applications. And as you saw in my demonstration interaction mode, where you can really get a look at every single communication that happened, and being able to evaluate the content, whether it's an email or whether it's chat and those types of things that are maybe your more non-traditional channels but are up-and-coming channels as well. So I think you need a combination of toolkit to really be able to deliver the best quality.
Okay, thank you. Here's our next question. Can your applications show which interactions have been resolved based on a customer being surveyed and saying their issue was resolved? Alex?
I'm just trying to make sure I understand the question. So really just looking at, marketing and CRM, that the interaction has been handled, say if the person sent, maybe so they sent an email and they also, subsequently, picked up the phone because they weren't getting a response to the email fast enough, then yeah, in CRM, we would be able to flag that interaction has been resolved.
Okay. It looks like the customer is also being surveyed, and the customer then says in the survey, yes, my issue is resolved. Ami?
Yes, so actually we have two solutions under the voice of the customer umbrella. One of them is actually an IVR survey tool that can be used for voice interactions. And we have a set of survey tools under the Facebook solution umbrella, which allows organizations also to gather feedback across the different channels, including SMS, emails, etc., in order to get the feedback from the customer once the transaction has been completed.
Okay, and Kai?
Yeah, so there's definitely a capability to do surveys, both voice surveys, so post-agent transfers that they could just go ahead and, through either GTMF or some speech, confirm that the issue was indeed addressed, as well as web-enabled surveys. So there could be a follow-up email that's sent out to the contact just confirming that everything was to their satisfaction. And we could close the issue that way as well.
Okay. With the amount of people using social media, are you able with your solution to add social media comments? Alex?
We are. We've built social media comment collection and also social media interaction. There's a demo that we have that I didn't show here, but we have a demo for a car rental tool where a customer, once you've got that customer in CRM, either from a previous interaction or you can maybe onboard them through DM. You can have them send a direct message with their account number to link that customer's name, to their account. Once you kind of know who they are and you have that in CRM, it facilitates very, very easily collecting any comments that they might make or any direct questions or service requests that they might make through the social media channel.
Thanks. Kai?
So for social media, we're able to bring that channel in, and the standard use case would be to really put an aggregator to make sure that put an aggregator in front of our platform to make sure that only the relevant things are getting pushed to the agent. I think it's tricky to take a feed directly off of a social media site because you might get a lot of clutter. And so we align with tools that provide some of that filtering capability, and then we would ultimately push that to the agent desktop so that they could appropriately respond.
Okay, and Ami?
So in order to integrate social media into our solution, then we use various different collectors. And in order to correlate a social media comment to a specific customer, then again, this requires some professional services work and in order to be able to do so.
In an omni-channel environment, there's going to be some good experiences and bad experiences along the way. How can you track which was a good experience for the customer and a bad experience for the customer? Ami?
So the most effective manner is the tools that I mentioned before that's used in order to gather feedback from customers on the interaction or the last process that I just went through. This turns out to be the most effective way. And obviously, we have various tools to run analytics in order to analyze the sentiment and the content of either the text that was transferred across the digital channels or even the actual voice portion of phone calls, etc.
Okay. Kai?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, I think, actually. So I would approach it the same way that I would with any service that you're providing, which is make sure that you have the data and the analytics available that allow you to ask those types of questions and determine, first call resolution or first, contact resolution, I guess, in this case for an omni-channel. But, and the solutions that you implement should really allow you to continue to fine-tune the level of detail. So, for example, an agent should be able to specify certain wrap-up codes because they are in a position to hopefully understand that an issue was resolved or not. If, in some cases, you get statistics back that still are a little ambiguous, you should be able to refine those wrap-up codes that are presented to the agent, so you essentially let the data work at a more detailed level. And so it's an iterative process. I think you approach it like you would any other analytics.
And Alex?
I agree with everything that the others have said. The customer surveys, I think, are going to be so important for letting you, know truly whether or not it was a good experience. Anything with your workforce optimization, your quality management tools that you can do to kind of automatically, flag interactions where it wasn't a first call resolution for further review, flag the number of steps that they went through, and anything that'll kind of give you, reporting on whether or not, those kind of measures are declining. I think those are good metrics to look at as well. But first and foremost, the customer, direct feedback from the customer, the post-contact surveys, I think, are so important here.
Okay. Let's see. Here's an interesting question. With an omni-channel experience and with, somebody can start maybe self-service and then an email and then they call. Does the agent take a while to review all of that information? Do they need to put the customer on hold? How immediate is all of this in the customer's eyes? Alex, why don't you take that?
I think there's some ways to get around that. If there's going to be a lot of information in the pop-up, then of course they may need a little bit more time to digest it than they would if they had no information. They could, if there is a lot of information, they might review it directly with the customer, so at least the customer knows that they're digesting a lot of context and trying to understand. And then also in my one of my demos, we showed that we often encourage people, if they're starting the conversation on a self-service channel and they know that there's going to be, a long hold time, or if it's something that you think is going to be a long even review time, encouraging the customer to, instead of going in that whole queue, to instead just request a call back and have that customer request a call back. And so once they get, the number of, it's going to be 12 minutes until you get your call back, and so maybe 8 minutes of that is hold time, and 4 minutes of that is time that the agent is allocated to review. At least the customer then is not, in limbo and is free to kind of go do, about their business or whatever it is they need to do, and doesn't feel like they're stuck on hold waiting for your agent, even if what your agent is doing is, a review process that'll ultimately be beneficial.
Okay. Kai, can you suggest any metrics or KPIs to tell if this is making a difference in the customer's eyes?
I think we're back to, survey results and just treating it like any other service that you're trying to measure the success for, which is, continually refine, try to iterate until you get to the measurements that you're trying to get to.
Okay, and let's see, Ami, how important is first contact resolution in terms of resolving the issue in the first channel as opposed to it finally gets resolved after multiple channels?
So obviously from the organization perspective, we would like to resolve the issue as early as possible within the journey. That's why we do have a set of tools that allow us to also analyze the journey and understand exactly what is the customer experiencing within it, and try to identify bottlenecks or places that we can optimize the solution in order to allow to improve the first contact resolution rates.
Okay, thank you. And we still have a load of questions, but we're coming up to the top of the hour. So what we're going to do is take your questions and forward them on to all of our panelists, and they will get back to you with these responses. So what I'm going to ask you to do, we'll just go around starting with Alex and Kai, then to me. 30 seconds, what do you think is the most important thing for everyone to remember? Alex?
I would say just remember that customers, they may have a channel of their own choice that they prefer to use, but it's also likely that they'll cross more than one channel when they're attempting to resolve their problem. And so the ability to provide a consistent, contextual, personalized experience across all those channels is extremely important in delivering not just what we view a multi-channel solution, but in making it a true omni-channel solution.
Thank you. Kai?
I think it comes down to empowering the agent with the information, with what's happened on that customer journey, and giving them the tools required to make decisions on the fly, so it becomes a real-time experience between the agent and the customer. And in addition to that, really the channels have to be treated the same in the sense that, all the data that you're attaching to your interactions needs to be consistent, and that's what really drives that omni-channel experience.
Okay, Anami?
So in order to be able to implement an effective omni-channel customer experience, then you need to, first of all, be able to train your staff to provide a similar customer experience across the different channels. You need to be able to analyze and understand what's going on across the different channels, and you also need to be able to run your compliance processes in a unified manner across the channels.
Thank you. And we are just at the top of the hour. I want to remind everyone the recording will be available in about 24 hours. We will send you that link with the slides. There is a survey that pops up as you're logging off. Please let us know what you thought of this webcast. And a great big thank you to Alex and Kai and Ami and their companies Aspect, Enghouse, and NICE for bringing their solutions. And by the amount of questions we've been getting, they were really enjoyed looking at these solutions today and have lots of questions, and we will get those to those presenters. So thank you all for spending your hour with us this afternoon, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.